I think it was rather chaotic because there was a desire to help immediately, but no one was prepared for an event like this. I mean, who uses planes as bombs? And 4 on one day, and all 4 of those planes were headed to California, 3 to Los Angeles, and 1 to San Francisco. Flight 93 that crashed in Pennsylvania was headed to San Francisco. So we in the state of California had a lot of family members that lost loved ones that day, and a lot of survivors, people who were actually in the World Trade Center or in the vicinity of that site, who were Californians. They were out there for training or work-related events. And they actually survived the events and ran down. There's one story where a woman and another gentleman ran down 60+ flights of stairs in the World Trade Center, and they got out. And they will never, ever forget the images of that day. So we here in California scrambled. First of all, we didn't know how to find the names of the victims. So there was some coordination with the airlines to try and get the names off of the airline manifests, and dealing with issues of confidentiality, looking at newspaper articles to get names, finding people and then asking them if they know other people. So there was a lot of word of mouth. There was very quick coordination with the Federal Office for Victims of Crime at the U.S. Department of Justice, and they jumped into action offering some crisis response grants. California was the recipient of one of those, and that helped us to provide some immediate benefits and assistance to the victims. The states that were most impacted, like New York, Connecticut, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Virginia, the Washington, D.C. area, and California, received assistance from OVC immediately. Obviously, New York was the most impacted. We also here in California, the governor's office helped us with some emergency legislation to provide some benefits. And basically it provided additional family members. It allowed for them to receive benefits through CalVCP. It also provided funding for counties for group mental health counseling for community members who were traumatized by the attacks. It also provided funding to the counties for tolerance promotion activities, because a lot of people were being targeted for hate crimes. So that was a real problem. And finally, the bill also provided funding for mental health counseling for California search and rescue teams. A lot of people don't know this, but on the evening of September 11th, California deployed search and rescue teams to New York to help out at the World Trade Center. And they actually flew over in military aircraft and were escorted by F-16 fighter jets. Ultimately, what we decided to do was to bring all the family members, surviving family members of the victims, and the other people who actually physically survived the attacks. We brought them together for a Governor's Day of Remembrance on October 9th.
Today, all of us belong to the families of those who perished at the World Trade Center and the Pentagon. Today, all of us belong to the families of the firefighters and police officers who gave their lives while helping others.
They came for a gathering with the governor on the steps of the Capitol.
Our response is that there is no dishonor in fear. Bravery is not the absence of fear, but the resolve to face the enemy in spite of it.
And that was very, very helpful for all of them to come together and be with one another and not have to explain to each other what they were feeling or experiencing, because everyone was a victim of the same experience. And that was a good thing to have them come together.
If I could go back to the environment prior to Marcy's Law, I'd have to say that the criminal justice system has not always been necessarily user-friendly. And Marcy's Law corrects that. It gives victims a voice. It recognizes that they're unique victims of violent crimes. In the case of domestic violence, we understand that you are traumatized. We understand that you want to have a voice in the criminal justice system. In the adjudication process, you will have a voice. We will listen to you. You will be part of the process. You'll know exactly what's happening through the process, and that these rights are enumerated in the Bill of Rights. So it makes the criminal justice system more user-friendly to those victims, demystifies the system, and allows them to be part of the process, so that the end result is a more effective outcome.
What it did mostly, I think, really made it important and known to everybody. The victims had a right to be present at hearings and had a right to know about them and had a right to have input. And that wasn't just at sentencing. That would be at bail, other hearings. They had a right to be present. And that was a really big thing. Also, their right of input at parole hearings. I think that was a staggeringly important thing.
It elevated all the statutes that we had to the constitutional level, meaning it meets the Supreme Court of California. It made it that that's the highest law of California, and that's going to stand. And judges more apt to look at the thing constitutional law as opposed to a statute law, because they look for ways to interpret the statute law. A defense attorney or an attorney would to argue that the statute wasn't intended that way or what it may be, where the Constitution is the Constitution of the will of the people, and it was passed, and that's the way it is.